sure you know what I'm talking about. What's up everyone? So today you might be wondering where am I? I'm actually still in school, and that's because I got the midterms this Saturday. Ugh. But see, I'm still doing the video for you guys, so please remember to like, comment and subscribe for the effort. So I'm almost halfway through my second semester in university, and being through Sem 1 and like a bit of Sem 2, I had my fair share of bad profs actually, to be exact. I'm sure you know what I mean, those profs that are so lazy or they just don't give a shit about doing their job properly, So today I'm going to share with you some of my story of bad professors. Okay, so in semester 1, I had this prof. Okay, actually he's not really that bad of a prof, but he just do really interesting stuff. So now it's COVID-19 and like most of the lectures are held online. But for him, his online lectures are not really for him to teach. It's for him to go through tutorials. So actually his like lectures are all pre-recorded and uploaded on YouTube, so we need to watch before the lecture. So in the lecture he'll go through like tutorial question. And so we got two like live sessions with him on Zoom, and that is like a 1 hour session and a 2 hour session. So the 2 hour session is actually 8:30 to 10:30. But a funny thing is he cannot wake up early. So he always say let's start at 9:30 instead. So it's just 1 hour instead of 2 hours. So instead of 1 hour, 2 hours, it's just 1 hour, 1 hour. So apparently I thought it's just him being him, but what I learned from my senior is that he does the same thing even when the lectures were held live. It was supposed to start at 8:30, but he'll only show up like at 9:30, or like he'll definitely be late Anyways, back to the Zoom tutorial session with him, right? So the thing is, right, I don't know why he's just so slow during the lecture. Like he will go through really slowly. He's very monotone and he likes to he just talks really very slowly. Like if you were to watch a recording, right, you play at 2 times playback speed. That's his normal talk. That's my normal talk. Okay. So one thing is, right, he loves to waste a lot of time. So one thing he likes to do is he's very known for wasting time. So there was once we having this lecture. So his office has a whiteboard behind. So when he's having a Zoom tutorial session, he will use the whiteboard to present his solutions. So apparently he had a lot of markers, and he started looking for his marker. Like he started taking each marker and start drawing on the whiteboard. He's like, where's my good marker? Where's my good marker? But the thing is, right, most of his markers were okay. We can see what's he like writing on the whiteboard. So I don't know what's he like even searching for. Eventually, after like 5 minutes, he found it. He found it in his pocket. And then on the same lecture, he was like adjusting his mic, and then like suddenly he dropped his mic. And then so he picked up his mic, and then while he's adjusting his mic, the thing is, right, his mic is perfectly working. So I don't know why he liked to adjust his mic. So after adjusting his mic, he accidentally muted his mic. Then after he muted his mic, right, he started going through the question, and like everyone was like trying to get his attention on the chat, saying that, oh, you're muted, prof, you're muted. After 5 minutes, he finally realized he's muted. Then he unmuted, and then he went on about how he's so happy that his mic didn't like spoil because he dropped his mic. Then after he went on another 5 minutes on how thankful he is to everyone, because everyone is very cooperative with him and they're trying to help him out here during this COVID-19 time. That's just 10 minutes gone, searching for his marker, adjusting his mic and thanking everybody. Okay, then someone actually asked him whether is it possible to start half an hour early, at 9 instead of 9:30, because so that we can go through more questions. But his answer is, I think 1 hour of math is more than enough for everybody. So he said that let's not do that. I'm just like, wait, what? So one more experience. So like before the midterms last sem for that mod, right, the prof decided to hold a Q&A session, like answer any questions you want. So apparently while everyone was posing the questions, he was just literally sitting there like staring at the questions. Then after finally someone posed an easy question and he answered that question for like 15 minutes. He answered that question. So after he answered that question, he continued to sit there and wait for questions. There was actually a lot of questions asked, like some very complicated ones or some very difficult questions, but he didn't answer any of it. So after the Q&A session, which he barely answered much, we actually was like, so there's another Q&A session like later on in the week before the midterms. But that night, he actually emailed out that there's no more Q&A session because he realized that Q&A session is not productive. But the thing is, right, he's not even answering all the tough questions. It's just not productive, you know what I mean? So like at the end of the day we had to go for the midterms, and like he was just like all the best, there's no more Q&A sessions. And then I'm just like, oh my god. Okay, and this prof, right, he loves to put his midterms on a Saturday. And let's be honest here, Saturday midterms are the worst thing ever, because you have to stay in school all day Saturday. Man, why can't they just be like every other prof and hold it on a proper weekday? And the worst thing about this prof is his exams were freaking difficult, especially the finals. It was like out of the world tough. I think it was not meant to be passed lah. And like, yeah, I guess he can mark less, and like, it's easier for him also. But like, come on man, I still want to like be able to do the paper and not feel anxious the entire sem break. Okay, can you tell me what am I saying in this line? The derivative is positive, and it is not neptune. Do you even know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to let you hear like some of the words he says. It's just the bit of the all the stuff he says, So apparently this prof, he just cannot pronounce a lot of words, and like, okay, cannot blame him because he's not local, so he has an accent, and like, so after the accent he cannot pronounce a lot of words, and like, I'm just like, oh my god, I'm struggling to understand what he's trying to say, and it took me like a few, like 1 or 2 weeks before I adjust to like how he speaks, So anyways, just what I'm saying is the derivative is positive, not negative. So he says derivative as the derivative, and then positive he say positive, and the negative is neptune. Like, how will you even know in the first few lectures, So okay, so I struggled to learn how he speak at first, and finally I got used to it. But this prof, I don't know why he presents himself really weirdly. Like the way he stand during lecture, he's just so casual, hands in the pocket, and he's like shaking. Okay, that another thing about this prof is, right, he likes to make weird jokes during the lecture, And let's be honest here, there's some profs that are really cool and can relate to your generation, and like whatever jokes they say is like freaking funny. But there's also that kind of profs that just try to make things funny, but they're actually not. And like, okay lah, A for effort for trying, but like, come on, you gotta stop. Okay, so one of the jokes I remember is like, kinematics. Like you talk about the displacement. So let's say you go from this point to this point and you go back, right? The displacement is 0 for all failing students, but if you don't understand, it's fine. So apparently, right, the prof said, oh, okay, let's say you travel from here to here with your girlfriend to watch the movies, and then suddenly your girlfriend forget to bring something, so you have to turn back to your girlfriend's house, and the displacement is actually 0 because you actually haven't even moved off yet. But okay, energy understood. But like, you know what he had to say? He had to say, but you know whose fault is it? It is your fault. You know why? Because if it's not your fault, then you no longer have a girlfriend. And then he started laughing to himself, and then the rest of us were just like, it's like, why, just why? So for those who don't know, I'm a mathematics major, and I don't know if it's just for mathematics in particular for this like instance. Okay, so for my lectures, right, I don't know why the profs always assume you already know some of the stuff, and they just go on to like explain the concept without like really clearly explaining like maybe the conditions or like the stuff about the concept. So it's like sometimes it's very hard to understand because I have to go back and refer to the previous one and try to understand it before I try to get to know this one. Or sometimes it's not even like taught before, but they assume so they go through very fast. And some of the concepts are not even that easy. We're the students after all, They're profs, they're freaking genius, So obviously this will seem easy to them, but to us it may not be that simple. So I rather they go through properly. And the worst thing is the tutorial answer keys that they upload. So the tutorial answer key, right, they have to use words like obviously, trivial, or like elementary. And when they say elementary or trivial questions, they usually cut down a number of steps in the answer key and write obviously this is the case. So am I supposed to write obviously in my answers during the exam? Because the reason why I'm referring to answers is because I'm not even too sure about the solutions, or like I need like help or like something, right? So because they write obviously, right, I don't get the full solution. And then after that, right, so after that, how am I supposed to learn? You know what I mean? I don't really get all these kind of profs that do all this kind of like obviously, Okay, so I'm not too sure if this is just for mathematics. So please let me know if this happens to you too. Okay, so these are just some of my stories of like professors that are interesting, or like they do like weird stuff. So please let me know if you have stories of interesting profs, or like weird profs, or like even bad profs. Okay, so let me know. Also, I've seen a lot of y'all are going through Hell Week, like from my friends Insta, and like everyone talking about it. So I wish everyone all the best, and I hope everyone do well for their midterms. And Yep, good luck to everyone. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.